The group was flying around and they could feel more life force fading in the distance. They all increased their speeds. Another blast sounded in the distance and then it went quiet, but they couldn't feel anything. Vegeta was already annoyed. Stupid machines, I can't track them at all. That was a problem everyone was having no matter how much they focused. We need to split up and search for them, Piccolo said as he came to a stop with the rest of the group doing the same. Are you sure that's a good idea, Piccolo? I mean, that's how horror movies always start, Krillin asked nervously as he looked around at the group. Piccolo just scoffed. Krillin had a point as much as he hated to admit it, but they would get nowhere if they kept sticking together like this, not covering much ground. We need to split up to cover more ground to save as many lives as possible and find the androids, but we just have to find them, not fight them when we see them. He stressed out that part, specifically looking at Vegeta. You got something to say, Green Bin? Piccolo just looked over at the ground. This is our best shot. So once you find the androids, raise your power as much as you can and we will come running. Everyone reluctantly nodded at each other before blasting off in different directions to find the androids. Goku with Krillin and Frieza with Gohan, but they made sure to break off into strong pairs, which broke up again in the distance as they spread further to cover more ground. Frieza was not worried about Kurieza's safety as he was now with his brother, a Saiyan brother, he thought with a smirk. It still surprised Frieza how much Kurieza had taken a liking to Gohan. A part of him was grateful for it even if he would never admit it. He knew the boy was strong, that much he had seen during the times he went to watch Gohan training in the woods with Piccolo's watchful gaze never leaving him. He could guess the birth of Kurieza and the boy wanting to get closer with his brother was how the fear the boy once felt towards him faded. He could still remember Gohan being scared to sleep in the same house as him or being close to him. But now the boy no longer flinched when he laid his hand on him, something Goku had been ecstatic about. He trusted the boy enough, he was strong enough to be worthy of being Kurieza's brother. Yamcha had split off from Tien as they went off to cover two different cities that both were on fire. He was scouting the location till he saw two men standing around an area that had been destroyed. He couldn't feel any energy from them and could only guess their key signature was too weak. That wasn't uncommon, but he had to tell them to get out of here, or maybe they had seen something. Hello there, are you guys okay? He asked as he touched down. The two men didn't say anything but stared at him as if they were sizing him up. Hello, are you okay? He asked again. He could feel a chill down his spine as if his body was telling him to run away. Help! The voice of a man rang out somewhere to the side inside the massive piles of rubble. Yamcha was about to turn to help him, but a blast shot past the corner of his eye, blowing up the rumble, and he could guess the man too. Looks like we missed 119. The old man with the massive beard said with a smile. Yamcha was shocked for a moment and readied himself for a fight. They didn't look all that power and he knew he could take them. You'll pay for that, he screamed as he charged at them, only to be intercepted by the other man who was only letting out scary giggles that put his nerves on edge. The two started fighting with Yamcha's ki somewhat rising, but the man didn't seem to be having that much of a problem. Humans so simple, Dr. Jiro said with a smile as he watched his android fighting with Yamcha. The two threw a punch at each other, but then the man made a weird move that seemed to expose him. Yamcha didn't know why he was doing it, but he wasn't going to miss the chance, so he charged in. The man easily countered him and then held him in his grasp. He was surprised that the man was so strong. That was dumb to think you could take on an android, the older man shouted at them from the ground. Yamcha was shocked, so these were the androids, and he had fallen right into their trap. Realizing his mistake, he started rapidly increasing his power level, which only seemed to make the fat android that was holding onto him laugh. It started subtly and then it became hysterical, and he could feel the air change. He could feel his energy leaving him and his body growing weaker. The android was doing something to him. Yamcha was doing his best to try to break free, but the android's grip seemed to be made from iron and he could only struggle. Everyone else was busy conducting the search in the distance till they felt Yamcha's ki rise slowly. They all slowed down because it didn't seem to be the sharp rise they spoke of, but as they were thinking about it, they felt his ki sharply spike before it started to fade away again fast. None of them waste time and they sped in the direction of his ki, which was growing weaker by the moment. Goku knew that at this rate by the time they arrived Yamcha would be dead, so he signaled to those that were with him, "Hold on to me." They didn't question him and moments later they used instant transmission. Far in the distance on the other side, Gohan and Frieza did the same. Even though it was difficult to focus on the weakening ki of Yamcha, Goku and Frieza used instant transmission a couple of times along the way to collect the other members of the group till with a swift they both appeared at the ruins of the city. They only made eye contact for a moment before Goku's eyes landed on a human with pale white skin that had his arms wrapped around Yamcha. Their eyes locked before the weird being, which he could guess was an android, discarded Yamcha as if he was trashed to the side. Goku rushed in, catching him, dodging and kicking the android away when it tried to make a move against him. The android let out some grumbles, stomping its feet like an annoyed child as he moved back to stand with the group. Frieza was intrigued because he wanted to know just how powerful can one be if they were manufactured. He could use that power for other reasons, so he hoped they didn't disappoint him. "So you must be the androids," Goku said, his a small snarl, but the other being an older looking one step next to the android. He could guess it was these two that Trunks had spoken of. He couldn't sense their ki and they had managed to take out Yamcha rather easily, so their strength wasn't something to scoff at. "Why yes, we are. So glad we meet again, Goku," the old android said with a bow, but not once breaking eye contact. That seemed to surprise Goku. "Do you know me?" "What do you mean, do I know you?" The older android shouted out at him as if he couldn't believe that Goku didn't know him. "I am Dr. Gero, the last of the faithful Red Ribbon Army," he declared, and the others still seemed confused. "Well, that was until Krillin remembered just who they were." "Oh Goku, I know who they are." Goku just looked at his friend confusedly and shrugged. Krillin let out a sigh. "Remember those guys we fought back when we were kids, Goku? Those guys that wanted to take over the world?" Krillin and some of the others waited as the gears turned in Goku's head before he had a light bulb moment. "Oh, those guys," he said, to which Krillin just nodded. "I remember you now," he said, turning to face the androids. "Well then, about time. How about we get this over with so I can celebrate my victory?" Goku got into a battle stance but quickly stopped as he looked around. Sure, one building had been destroyed, but everything seemed fine and he could still feel people waiting in them. "How about we go somewhere else to settle this?" Goku said, staring down the two androids. Dr. Gero didn't really care and simply wanted to get this done and over, but savoring it would be nice. "Come on, you waited this long to kill me, might as well do it somewhere else and get fewer innocent people involved." The androids didn't really care about all of that, and Dr. Gero knew Goku was just doing it to protect innocent civilians. "Fine, your life has been extended for the moment,"